Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars, where we give you an inside look at what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week, Cancer season begins. We're going to give you an entire overview of everything that is going to happen so you know what you're getting into up front. But in case you missed it, last week Jupiter entered Cancer. We had a full moon in Sagittarius and Mars entered Virgo. So if you want to know more about that, then definitely check out last week's episode before diving into this one.
And just to give you a heads up, next week we will tell you everything that you need to know about the new moon in Cancer and Mercury in Leo.
And with that being said, let's dive into the episode. So Cancer season begins on June 20th at 10:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also known as the summer solstice. And per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. How this affects you. Once the sun moves into Cancer, we tend to take on the traits of Cancers during the season. So you'll notice that your energy tends to shift more inwards and tends to focus more on your emotions. Cancer season in general is a time to really listen to your intuition and embrace your feelings and your emotional side. And in general, you might notice that there's more of a focus on your own safety and security and what home feels like to you.
What you can expect. While the sun's in Cancer, you're going to feel more in touch with your emotions and have a stronger focus on caring for yourself and others that are close to you. Family and close friendships will be more of a priority, and also you might notice that you're craving more comfort and stability.
There are a few key dates you're going to want to pay attention to. These are the aspects that the sun will make as it moves through Cancer. Starting off on June 22nd, the sun will square Saturn, which can bring some tension between your emotional needs and also your responsibilities. So you might be feeling like you are being restricted or asked to hold yourself back, but this is still an opportunity to tap into your emotional strength and push through.
And then on June 23rd, the sun will be square Neptune, which can stir up some emotions and confusion. You might notice on this day that you are feeling a little bit unsure about things, or things just feel a little bit unclear. Remember to stay grounded and to check in with yourself, especially when it comes to your relationships.
And then on June 24th, the sun will conjunct Jupiter, which is a very optimistic energy that can almost feel like a little boost of luck happening on this day. You can expect to feel very positive and optimistic and want to be a little bit more social, spending time with others.
And then on June 26th, the sun will be sextile Mars. This is a very positive energy, bringing about a lot of motivation and confidence. You also might notice that you're more focused on taking action and ready to take initiative.
Lastly, on July 13th, the sun will trine the North Node, which can be a day where opportunities are presenting themselves that feel in alignment with your purpose and could lead you to a greater sense of fulfillment. So be on the lookout for that. Now, everything else we're about to mention will have their own episodes, but we'll still tell you a little bit about them now so that you can know what to expect. But again, we will do deep dives on these in weeks to come, starting with the new moon in Cancer that happens on June 25th at 6:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. What you need to know: new moons are for new beginnings, and the new moon in Cancer is a powerful time to be setting intentions around your personal well-being and your emotional self. So this is a time to focus on creating a safe space for growth, for your emotions to be felt and experienced, and for you to nurture yourself.
Something you might not know is that this new moon will have a lot of different aspects. There will be a conjunction to Jupiter, which is a very positive and growth oriented energy. However, there also will be more challenging aspects to both Saturn and Mars, which can create some tension between what you're hoping for and what is practical. So be mindful not to overextend yourself or to set your expectations so high that it creates stress for yourself.
The next thing happening in Cancer season that you're going to want to pay attention to is Mercury entering Leo on June 26th. How this affects you. Mercury in Leo will bring a more dramatic but also creative energy to your communication style. So you'll notice that you're feeling more inclined to express yourself in a bold way, or also you might feel that you're wanting to be seen more.
What you need to know is that while this transit does favor creativity, self-expression, and conversations with others, keep in mind that Mercury will eventually retrograde in Leo. So definitely be cautious and mindful of the themes that come up for you because they're going to continue to be relevant.
The next thing that happens in Cancer season is Venus entering Gemini on July 4th at 11:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. What you can expect is this bringing a focus on communications and also the more intellectual side of things in your relationships. So this could look like wanting to have more engaging conversations with your friends or finding new ways to learn new things.
Something you might not know is that while Venus in Gemini is usually a very light and playful energy, there will be a square to both the North Node and Mars, which can bring about some tension in your relationships, and you might feel like you're torn between keeping things fun and lighthearted versus going deeper emotionally. So it's really important to find a balance between the two.
On the same day that Venus enters Gemini, Neptune will station retrograde in Aries. So again, that's July 4th, but this will happen at 5:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What you need to know: Neptune retrograde will bring your attention more inward, especially when it comes to things that you might have been feeling confused about or unclear with. In general, Neptune retrogrades are a time to be reassessing your dreams, your beliefs that you've been following, especially if they tend to be a little bit more idealistic, and as well as reflecting on your spiritual side.
How this affects you. Even though Neptune retrograde is going to encourage you to reflect on yourself and on your spirituality, you also can see some of the effects in society because this is an outer planet transit. So you can see some Neptune retrograde and Aries themes coming up in the news, online, and on social media. Also, Neptune will retrograde from the sign of Aries into Pisces in October, which will change the energy a little bit, but we will talk more about what that means when we get there.
The next thing happening in Cancer season is Uranus entering Gemini on July 7th at 3:46 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Something you should know is this is one of the big outer planet transits that are happening this year. So with Uranus moving into Gemini, there will be a lot of changes happening around areas of communication, learning, and technology. And by changes, I mean this could look like things like new innovations, new inventions. And you'll notice in the world around you that people are going to be more willing to embrace new ideas, but also question outdated ways of thinking.
Also, something to know is that Uranus will be changing signs during the retrograde period. It is starting in Gemini and then eventually will go back into the sign of Taurus.
The next thing happening during Cancer season that you're going to want to pay attention to is the full moon in Capricorn on July 10th at 4:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How this affects you. This full moon will be focused on career responsibility and your long-term goals. Full moons are times of releasing and letting go so we can come into better balance. And the full moon in Capricorn will encourage you to release any old structures or fears that surround success and responsibility.
Something you might not know is that this full moon is making all positive aspects, making it a good time to make progress in your career or any personal goals. You also might notice that this is a time where you are recognized for your hard work or for your efforts, whether that is in your career or even just in your personal life.
The next thing that happens in Cancer season is Saturn stationing retrograde on July 13th at 12:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that could be July 12th, depending on your time zone. How this affects you: Saturn retrograde in Aries will be shifting the focus on personal responsibility and structure in your life. So during the retrograde, you'll be thinking more or reevaluating your own stance on independence, leadership, but also discipline.
What you need to know: this is a really important time to check in with yourself, how you've been showing up and taking responsibility in your life. Also, it could be a chance to reflect on the progress that you have made and areas where you might want to continue to grow. Also, Saturn retrograde will change signs from Aries into Pisces.
And speaking of retrogrades, we end Cancer season with Mercury stationing retrograde in Leo on July 18th at 12:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that could be July 17th, depending on your time zone. What you can expect with Mercury retrograde in Leo is, of course, miscommunications and misunderstandings, but this will be happening around areas of self-expression or creative projects. So use the energy to slow down, reflect, and reassess how you want to express yourself.
Something you might not know is that this Mercury retrograde might bring up things that feel very personal to you and the way that you like to express yourself. While it can feel intense at times, this also can be an opportunity to shift your focus towards reflecting on what comes up so that you can realign with your most authentic self.
And that is it for this week's episode. Just a reminder, next week we'll be talking all about the new moon in Cancer and Mercury in Leo. So if you want to know more about that, then definitely make sure wherever you're listening to the podcast, you're subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss when we post next week. But until then, that is all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday.